Propertuity is a development company that started about 6 years ago. It was conceptualized and is the brainchild of Jonathan Liebmann. We bought one building on the east side of the Joburg CBD when the city of Joburg was probably at its worst, and the idea was to create this creative space for artists to come and move into. Jonathan saw the potential to grow into something bigger and saw the net effect of buying abandoned buildings in that specific area where there were a lot of abandoned buildings, and the merit of redeveloping them into a mixed-use, densely populated neighbourhood, which is now five and a half, 6 years in the running, and it's called the Maboneng Precinct. A typical building would have ground floor parking and retail, so there'd be a coffee shop or maybe a boutique, independent, unfranchised on the ground floor. Then from the first floor to the fourth floor, if it's a 4-story building, would be apartments that are sectional title that you'd be able to buy as an owner and rent out, and or just rent in that building, to a building with the same profile on the ground floor, so parking and retail, and then the first floor upwards would be office space or commercial space. We've got a school, we've got a park, we've got 24 restaurants, about 16 fashion vendors and retailers, a market, a museum, a backpackers, student accommodation. I mean, it's really like an urban landscape for everything. We pretty much sell and rent all of our spaces off plan before a building's built. So when a building is cleared, we put together a nice marketing pack with some nice renders and say, here is an apartment you can buy for X, or here is a shop that you can rent for Y. And we sell and rent before we build. And that has really been our most successful model. It's an off-plan model, essentially. We do try and choose specific businesses and also say no where it's, where we have to. Spaza are an experiential team who build these curated bespoke events for big corporates. I personally, I do a bit of the speaking on behalf of Propertuity, but in terms of how Propertuity and Spaza work together, it's a consistent collaboration. So if they've got an event that's open to the public, we will publicize it in our newsletter, on our website. If they want to know about the new retail spaces opening up and what kind of elements they could draw from, we let each other know. So it's a constant exchange of information to keep each other aware of what the plug-in resources are in the area. So Becky grew up in Troyville, which is an area next door to Maboneng, knows the city from the back of his hand, lands up in Maboneng and starts working at the Bioscope Chalkboard Cafe as a waiter, serving beers, coffees. The building that those two businesses are housed in is a residential building, so he starts obviously naturally engaging with the residential profile. One of the guys that owned one of the apartments in that building met with Becky consistently, and they start talking about this concept of walking tours of the city, which opens up into this new business that they both launched called Main Street Walks, walking tours of the city. It's a massive success, and Becky starts understanding that there's a deficit in the CBD for the first backpackers. So the second phase of the walking tours, which now happen from the backpackers, was to conceptualize Curiosity, which we built the business for Becky, and he co-owns it, and it's the first backpackers in the Joburg CBD. And at the age of 23, he is co-owners of two very successful tourist-based businesses in our area, and he's thriving.